Well, hello there, Reject Nation. We're here today to watch some new Rockstars Thor Love and Thunder trailer Easter eggs and breakdown from the man, the Erik the Voss. Guys, leave a like if you can, especially if you're excited for Thor Love and Thunder. Let's get to it already, people. Subscribe to new Rockstars if you haven't done so already.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown for the trailer for Thor Love and Thunder, which gets us so lost in Chris Hemsworth's eyes like the bluest skies that it's a bit easy to miss the love and the thunder, which I assume are what Thor's sweet child named her biceps. There's so many cool details hidden in this trailer, so let's punch those tickets to the gun show and break down this frame by frame. Let's go!
What's going on?
These hands were once used for battle. Now they're but humble tools for peace. I need to figure out exactly who I am.
All right, we open on Thor sprinting through the eras of his life, and I'm pretty sure his youngest self is actually played by one of Chris Hemsworth's real-life sons, the twins Tristan and Sasha.
That's
cool.
cool.
Get them in there. This imagery mirrors the journey of Forrest Gump, a running rambler who stumbles through war zones and prize matches and boats until turning into a bearded trucker.
Wow, great correlation.
Yeah, would never.
Whoa!
Conditions. I may not be a smart Avenger Jane, but I know what love and thunder is. Now the second phase of Thor's youth shows his teenage self wearing Thor's classic costume from the Jack Kirby comics, the winged helmet, the blue pants, yellow boots. The montage ends with Thor surrounded by flames, representing his home of Asgard being burned by Surtur in Ragnarok. Now the final shot of the trailer shows Thor in the same fur collar. I'm assuming this is New Asgard of Tonsberg burning down, making this the second time Thor has had to watch an Asgard burn. But you know, it's not a place, it's a people.
You know what I liked about that running montage too? It's like, it seems like at one point that is definitely Chris Hemsworth who's running, but I feel like they might have applied some of that Captain America First Avenger effect where they slimmed him down a little bit.
Yeah. Make him look like he's earlier in the journey.
From these ashes, we cut to a symbol of new beginnings. Thor planting a tree, except this is more than a tree. It's the handle of Stormbreaker, those runes on the blade for Stormbreaker. Remember, Stormbreaker's handle was made from the tree branch arm of Groot in Infinity War. Now, once that arm was severed, it ceased to be part of Groot, thus why it did not dust along with him in Thanos' snap. But years ago, I discussed the theory that Thor might replant the handle of Stormbreaker to regrow the Yggdrasil Worlds tree after it burned in Ragnarok, which might be what Vin Diesel was referring to in that 2020 interview with comicbook.com when he described Groot's return in Love and Thunder as, quote, Alpha Groot. Of course, Thor's gardening here calls back Thanos' move after retiring at the end of his conquests when he tilled the soil as he watched the sun rise on a grateful universe. But in Thor's case here, I should say suns, because this planet ain't Earth, as in the sky behind him is a massive sun, and then two other planets or moons to its upper left, and then a blue glowing celestial body, another light source behind the tree, and then a ringed planet in the upper right corner. And I am assuming Love and Thunder will finally reveal to us the only one of the 9 realms we have yet to see in the MCU, Alfheim, home of the Light Elves, not of Alf, even though he is canon in Marvel Comics lore.
Wow. I think that'd be pretty cool, especially because the last time we really got to hang out with elves in the Thor world, elves were not perceived in the best light.
That's true. Justice for Malekith.
Justice for Malekith and all the dark elves out there.
Yes. And their light counterparts, I guess.
But it seems like we don't see any elves on this planet. It seems like he just got up there all isolated and alone.
Maybe it's just him and Alf.
Notice the scar over Thor's right eye. That's from when Hela sliced out his eye in Ragnarok. It's come a long way in healing, and now both his eyes are bright blue. Definitely bluer than they were before. And his prosthetic right eye has been replaced since Endgame. Perhaps that could be why he went to Alfheim, using the Light Elf's magic to heal himself, both physically and, based on this Don Draper meditation pose here, spiritually as well. Now, the music of this trailer is Guns N' Roses' Sweet Child O' Mine, which has lyrics referencing eyes like the bluest skies and childhood memories where everything was as fresh as a bright blue sky. Axl Rose wrote these lyrics for girlfriend Erin Everly, daughter of Don Everly of the Everly Brothers, whose song All I Have to Do Is Dream just appeared in a recent promo for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Multiverse of Madness does seem like a story about parenting, Love and Thunder, a story about being sweet children of the gods. Now, of course, my favorite cover of this Guns N' Roses song is the a cappella rendition from Step Brothers with Adam Scott and Catherine Hahn.
Go! Flat. So
Go,
flat.
Agatha.
I don't even know. You don't even look good while you're singing. The worst thing I've ever heard. This is $1,200 a week for voice lessons, and this is what I get. Okay, I'm gonna save it with the solo.
And we must thank Agatha Harkness for singing the key lyric for this trailer. Pray for the thunder and the rain to quietly pass me by.
I hope Adam Scott can one day be in the MCU. For some reason, his like weird, dry, straightforward, like seriousness, but also simultaneously hilarious comedy skills would be absolutely perfect. I don't know where he would fit in. Probably an Ant-Man movie, actually, would be a good idea.
I think a variant of Justin Hammer would work.
Yeah, one of them. One of them.
Yes.
Thor is the god of thunder, but he is literally burying the hatchet, praying not for thunder to empower him, but to pass him by. Because I think the thunder of Love and Thunder is truly going to be brought by the villain, Gorr the God Butcher. And the sweet child of mine of the song is actually Gorr's child and wife, who were killed after he prayed for the thunder and the rain to pass them by, but those prayers were left unanswered. And I just find it interesting that this trailer, in short of Guns N' Roses' dark, aggressive shift in the song from the ballad to the where do we go? Where do we
go now?
Where do we go now? As if the darkest is still yet to come. Enough of me singing, let's move on. All right, we see the workout montage showing how Thor lost that weight from Endgame. Not that he needed to lose it. He wears a trucker hat that reads Strongest Avenger, a callback to the running joke of him considering himself the strongest Avenger over Hulk and Ragnarok.
Voice activation required.
Strongest
Avenger.
Access denied. Welcome, Strongest Avenger.
what?
Also, when he considers himself the strongest Avenger in Endgame.
I'm the strongest Avenger, okay? So this responsibility falls upon me.
But my favorite detail about this hat is the fact that Thor used a Sharpie to write this over a different hat that said something else. Because it looks like that hat originally said the mightiest Avengers, but he wrote strong over mighty and then traced over the EST in black so it would look less weird. And then he just said screw it and scribbled out the S of Avengers so it would just be only one Avenger himself.
We're gonna
Actually,
see him
Thor's
make that hat, I
is
bet.
modeled on Vincent D'Onofrio's look in Avengers
Yes,
the
of
Babysitting
course.
when he played the mechanic
Whoa.
Dawson,
Thor.
whom the girl Sarah,
Yeah.
obsessed with Thor, thinks is Thor.
I've
An
been
awesome
trying
scene
to
in that
place it
movie.
this whole time.
Oh, Thor, mighty god of thunder.
Who is this kid?
Careful, kid, don't embarrass him in front of Vanessa.
Wait, you know that movie? I've never seen that. That is a brilliant Easter egg, though.
That's about the only scene out of Adventures in Babysitting I think I've seen, and this was like a long time ago before we were all like Marvel's obsessive all the time. So yeah, I've been sitting here going, he reminds me of somebody, and he finally placed it for me. It's Vincent D'Onofrio.
That's a genius Easter egg, and especially with the fact that Vincent D'Onofrio himself is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that works on so many levels.
So Thor's doing the battle ropes with these chains from a giant skeleton. I was wondering if this could be another one of the Nidavelirian dwarves, like a prisoner who was left to rot after Thanos slaughtered them. But that skull has an odd shape to it, not exactly humanoid. So this might just be another god whom Gorr has killed. And based on this poor guy being left in chains, maybe this is someone Gorr tortured first.
And Thor decides to train there.
And he's wearing a white tank
Defile
and red
this
vest
carcass.
and tight blue pants, actually looking a lot like Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China, making it a bit ironic for Ego's son, Peter Quill, to roll his eyes here. Actually looks like Thor might have stolen some of Peter Quill's clothes. And as I pointed out in a past video, the shirt that he's wearing may depict Yggdrasil connecting the 9 realms. Now they're saving this planet populated by these blue-skinned locals. I think this actually might be Centauri 4, the homeworld of Yondu, which would make this the
interesting.
Samoan tribe. In Eternals,
Cool.
we learned that one of the past planets that they
love
helped
that.
destroy was called Centauri 6.
Everyone in Centauri 6 is going to die.
Now, it's spelled a bit different, Centauri versus Centauri, but in the Thor comics, Centauri 6 is part of the same Alpha Centauri star system as Centauri 4. So I'm wondering if Gorr the God Butcher's hatred of the gods might have began because he comes from that Centauri 6 planet that was destroyed in order to birth the Celestial, a god, a hatching that killed his wife and child while he just happened to be off-world, which would make him so angry that he must now kill all the gods of the cosmic hierarchy and everyone related to them, including Asgardians like Thor and Valkyrie and sons of Celestials like Peter Quill. And it could be on this planet, Centauri 4, where Thor and the Guardians learn the story of a nearby planet named Centauri 6 in their system with one very pissed off sole survivor.
This might seem like an odd thing to mention. When we went to the Eternals premiere, Taika Waititi was there, and we were fortunate enough to snag a quick photo with the guy. But I would do that awkward thing where every once in a while I'd be like, how's Taika responding to this movie? And as directors like Sam Raimi have said, that a lot of them don't even need to watch the MCU in order to keep up or make the movies they gotta make. But whenever I looked over at Taika and just watching the way he was observing, it seemed like he was doing it for notes in a way. You kind of get that sense, or maybe that's just the way I've never seen Taika watch anything in my entire life. So maybe that's just the way he watches me. There was just a vibe. I was like, is he doing this for like actual homework
Does
purposes
that
for his
check out
Thor
what we
movie.
did for our story?
Yeah, because that was
Gonna
months
have to
ago.
reshoot something.
And I know they planned this shit way in advance, so I'm probably way off on that. But that was just a little side tidbit.
And then we get this full Guardians of the Galaxy charge with teenage Groot, who's actually been filling out more. There's some more greenery on his head. Then Nebula, Mantis,
He
Quill,
grew up.
Kraglin.
He
He's there
filled
wearing
out.
Yondu's Yaka arrow fin, as he did in the Guardians Volume 2 post-credit scene. And then Rocket, and then I assume Drax on the far right. But no Gamora. We should note, after the Endgame final battle and Quill bringing her up on his screen in that final scene, they still have not found that variant Gamora from 2014.
Volume
the Guardians
3.
end up leaving behind Thor and Korg on a planet that looks like Sakaar as they pilot the Benatar through that hexagonal universal neural teleportation
Benatar.
network grid. If this is Sakaar, I'm super excited that they're returning here because this might be where they can meet up with Beta Ray Bill. the
Ah,
colonization
yes,
of
yes.
Sakaar. And
That'd
the
be
way
cool.
they frame this shot, weird empty space on the left beside Thor, just really looks like the shot was framed for 3 characters.
Tobey
and maybe
Maguire!
Beta Ray Bill or
It's
someone
all
else
3 of
might
them.
have been
It's all the
removed
Spider-Man
from
to
this
the left.
trailer. You'll notice how Korg has a new look, some colorful pants, and a belt buckle in the shape of a goat head. I'm wondering if he might now work at New Asgard, which is now a tourism theme park, as the herder of Thor's goats. So we take a tour of New
Oh, that's
Asgard.
great
and
shot.
compared to the colony it was in Endgame, the structures have evolved from the sleepy town of Tonsberg, Norway, to some taller, curved golden structures like the old Asgard had. So either they're starting to truly rebuild what they once had, or they might just be making a Disney version of it to attract tourists, or they might be doing both. We see a flying boat departing
steal
the
our
port,
gold building.
guarded by Thor's goats. These are named this and this. Not even gonna bother trying to pronounce it, but they mean Teeth Bearer and Teeth Grinder. In Norse mythology, they are Thor's companions. They pull his chariot across the sky, and they're wonderful. I'm so glad they're in this movie.
I thought they were named Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder.
That's what I have seen in different translations. I'm
No
a
one's
little taken
corrected
aback.
us whenever we've said that.
Maybe the translations vary.
Or maybe you guys suck at correcting us.
You don't know anything
You
about
don't know
comic
anything.
books.
It's our job to get on camera and act like we know what we're talking about. It's your job to prove you don't know what you're talking about, guys.
So who feels like bigger of an idiot now?
On this boat, you can see Valkyrie and Korg, and then up front, 2 others. It looks like Thor, maybe Jane with them there. And I love it, there's a neon sign reading Cocktails and Dreams, which is the name of the bar that Tom Cruise works at the end of the 1988 movie Cocktail. The 80s references are everywhere, and I'm loving it. Then this glorious shot of Olympus, a realm similar to Asgard in the Marvel Comics, but the home of Zeus and Aphrodite, all the other Greek gods. The design is just breathtaking. Like Asgard, the landmass is suspended in space with impossible gravity, water just spilling into mist. Here, from these Roman-style aqueducts that snake through all the structures. In the lower left, it looks like it's open space and stars out there. So who knows, this could all be suspended inside of another part of a dead celestial, like Nowhere's headless body. Because the sword carried by Gorr in this movie is the same weapon that, in the Marvel Comics lore, beheaded Nowhere. So this movie may confirm that history. You notice a pink-purple streak meteors through this Olympus space. Maybe Thor and his friends arriving, or maybe this is an attack from Gorr. Taika Waititi embraces his "our flag means death" vibes with Thor
Renew
on a
it.
pirate ship as a woman swings over to embrace him, looking like the cover of a romance novel. If this is the same setting as the tree meditation shot earlier, this might be a light elf of Alfheim. Notice how the ship behind him is being smothered by a kraken. Could
Oh,
it be a friend of
cool.
Gargantos? Could it just be its own thing?
Yeah.
Maybe. Then the Viking
Yeah.
ship
Never.
sails toward this planet that I thought was Earth, but if you look closely at the surface, it looks like it might be in the process of freezing over. Thought it was just a sunrise light hitting the clouds, but it does look like it's streaking through its atmosphere faster than the planet is rotating toward its sun. Thor stands
Yeah,
on
that's
the
what I was
bow
thinking.
with Stormbreaker streaming forward.
I know
Since Stormbreaker,
astronomy.
remember, has the powers of the Bifrost. This is how they're traveling through these wormholes in space. Then lightning streams through the Hall of Olympus, all in this goofy acrobatic display with pointed lightning bolt ends up until they are caught as one goofy looking bolt by Zeus,
I love it.
played here by Russell Crowe. At his side are 2 goddesses, perhaps Hera and Aphrodite, or maybe one of his many mistresses, because this is Zeus. All he
He's
does
a
is
perv.
fucking ruin lives. Across the hall are other gods applauding. It looks like the stands are arranged in boxes, with one larger brightly colored god or goddess in the center, and then their minions or sub-deities surrounding them. I assume among these are going to be
God's
Ares,
Senate
who
hearing.
cameoed in Thor Ragnarok as another past champion of Sakaar, and most likely Hercules, Zeus' son, a major rival to Thor in the comics, who has a ton of arcs. Let's get Hercules in this movie, please.
You know, I was thinking about it. You might be better at knowing this than me. What mythology is like Icarus from and stuff?
Oh boy. Is that Roman? It's either Greek or Roman, and I'm not actually very good at keeping them together.
Are they part of the same mythology as where Zeus is from and Hercules and all that? I'm not good at keeping them together either.
Yeah, it's like Zeus and Hercules, Hades and things like that. Like those are all Greek as far as I understand it.
Romans also got a lot of their gods from the Greeks.
I feel like Icarus is a Greek myth, but I couldn't be certain right now.
But in Eternals, they said that was made up, right? Like Olympus and all that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the actual words here.
Olympus.
Athena and Icarus, like that was all just a made up thing. But then this is going to say that that stuff really does exist.
Yeah, so now is there like a gods multiverse? Like is Athena just an Athena variant of some kind, or is there a hole in how the mythology works right
I
now?
wonder if this one is going to connect more to Eternals than a lot of us realize.
This all does look a bit cheesy, but I think that's the point. Because we're probably gonna see this place just get wrecked by Gorr in the opening act. Like, I'm sorry if you love Zeus and the other Greek gods in the Marvel Comics. I'll just say don't get too attached, because Taika Waititi is the same director who killed the Warriors 3 with a flick of Hela's wrist. Thor and Korg high five as the text of this section reads, "Not every god has a plan," which reflects Thor's aimless post-Avenger life now, but also harkens to Gorr's biggest criticism of the gods of the Marvel Universe. They have no plan. They let horrible things happen. They cast judgment without explaining the rules. By the end of this film, I think we will find ourselves echoing the words of Nick Fury in the comics, who whispered to Thor to make him drop Mjolnir, "Gorr was right." The one sign of Gorr's violence in this trailer, at least, the corpse of Thalagar the Behemoth. This image taken directly from Jason Aaron's God Butcher storyline, artwork by Asad Ribic in Thor God of Thunder #3, when Thor is investigating the deity figures whom Gorr has killed. Even the trickle of blood coming out of Thalagar's nostrils is exactly the same. I don't think we've ever seen a frame of the MCU so perfectly matched
Wow,
to
that's
panel in the
awesome.
comics, and I
Yeah,
really
that's
can't blame them.
gorgeous.
The image is heart-stopping. The only difference is that Korg now joins Thor on that boulder, so now Thor is someone to explain the terrifying significance of Thalagar's death. In that comic panel, Thor explains how Thalagar was the patron god of the galactic frontier who wrestled black holes just for fun. We can also imagine now for all the ground level people on a planet in a neighboring star system, just for some asshole to punt his black hole into your backyard would kill trillions of life forms. Then a new shot of New Asgard showing it from the same angle as when Rocket and Smart Hulk approached the town in Endgame on that winding road. Now the port has filled with several cruise liners, including one with the face of Volstagg, member of the Warriors 3, abruptly killed off. A van marked New Asgard Tours drives down that road with a logo that features Mjolnir on it. Now, it looks like in this movie that there's going to be a mound in this tourism destination that displays the broken pieces of Mjolnir as a key attraction. The earth dug out around it, making a kind of pedestal since people might not be able to move the Uru shards. Kind of like how Disneyland has a sword and a stone, and that will be where Jane Foster is empowered as the pieces come back together.
Oh, so that must be where, because they're going to do that play joke thing, carry it over from Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Matt Damon's supposed to come back for it, so I imagine that they're going to be redoing it there as part of their tourist attraction.
And then the tour becomes reality.
Ah.
I'm glad.
Monetize Asgard!
Valkyrie now sits at the head of an international summit. The sign in the corner reads Renewable Energy Conference, with art looking like a series of waterfalls that pour into each other, maybe showing how the Asgardians and the Olympians recycle water through their infinity pool water systems that seem impossible, but probably work on some kind of Asgardian magic. Currently, you'll notice the representative of the United States is standing, because that's what we do here. We stand. So I wonder if Asgardian science magic that empowers their boats and everything else in their lives has become a pretty game-changing energy resource on Earth, which would complicate things on oil-dependent countries like the US that needs to protect coal jobs and fracking. But I also like how at this table of international power players, seated in the guest of honor to Valkyrie's left, is New Zealand. I'm pretty sure this is at Taika Waititi's insistence. Now remember, going home, an international news ticker read, political turmoil in New Asgard. This could be what that was referring to.
God, I love how the connection. That's so cool.
Armor. These could be the new Einherjar of New Asgard on Earth. Remember, those are the guards that protected Asgard. Now they got a new Terran take on their gear. Now Valkyrie, meanwhile, looks bored on her throne, an office chair with Asgardian printing along the back. She's chewing food off some skewer, and above her is a sigil, which I assume will be her variant of Odin's symbol, maybe turned upside down or something like that. Now to the left, Meek is there wearing a business suit, prepping a drink for Valkyrie. Cocktails and dreams, baby. But notice how Valkyrie is sitting right between two doors, Hair and Dom, for the men in the women's restrooms. But right in the middle, it's just some fun stunning framing reflecting how Valkyrie is really a character who defies gender norms. Then another shot of Olympus with a huge Zeus statue
Well
ahead.
done.
Now, on that walkway is Korg and Thor, and then another red-caped figure, I assume Jane Foster. You'll notice statues on the left and the right
She's a little
depicting
taller
other
than
gods.
Thor.
On the left, maybe Aphrodite. On the right, that could be Artemis, goddess of the hunt.
Good cat, Mike. I don't know how you do that, man. It's like playing Where's Waldo sometimes.
All right, we get a better shot of the Guardians here. Quill,
Where's
Drax, Nebula,
Goddo?
Mantis, Rocket, and Groot. And Mantis has this interesting chip on her forehead now, which are connected to her antennae, perhaps a way of amplifying her emotional sensing abilities. Thor
It's a
is
space
trying
stone.
so hard to make Quill love him because all the other people he loves in his life are dead when you think about it. He refuses to break eye contact, just like how he stared Peter directly in the eyes on the Benatar at the end of Endgame. And you can see now in the close-up that Thor has regrown his braid that he used to have in the earlier movies before his head was shaved in Ragnarok and before he let himself go in Endgame. I love how the title logo has this metallic look to it, like an 80s rock band, just metal pieces sliding into place in a diamond shape to form the O, which also reflects the angular text of Norse runes. Then on to the last clip.
The last clip.
Oh, baby. So the reforged Mjolnir flies into the hand of Jane Foster, with Natalie Portman returning after Thor the Dark World in an adaptation of Jason Aaron's Mighty Thor run that follows Jane as a cancer patient who wields Mjolnir after the case of Gorr made Thor want to drop the hammer, considering himself unworthy. Now, powering up into Lady Thor allows Jane to escape her sickness, but whenever she returns to normal, her chemo is reset, setting up this fascinating and tragic storyline for the character. Now, how did this happen? Well, the movie's official description says Jane Foster, who, to Thor's surprise, inexplicably wields his magic hammer Mjolnir as the Mighty Thor. That suggests that whatever caused this hammer to reforge was some mysterious magic that Thor is not familiar with. Now, it's been implied that Infinity Stones left cosmic radiation coursing through the universe, and in the case of Jane Foster,
The Reality
was
Stone,
possessed
Ether.
by the Reality Stone
Yeah.
Ether. That radiation could have been the cause of her cancer, as well as what now triggers the hammer to reassemble. It's also possible that the multiverse could have caused this reassembly in some way, like she comes from another universe, or the hammer.
Her
comes from
arms
another
are so
universe.
big.
And more will be
I
revealed in
know,
the
I
future
love it.
trailer after Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness comes out.
But for the better.
I have a feeling that the hammer's return will have an in-universe answer, like either residual Reality Stone radiation or some hidden Will and Testament clause from Frigga or Odin that includes Jane Foster in that worthiness charm. Like whoever wields this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the powers of Thor. Also under clause, whoever that current bearer loves the most can also wield it. Compared to the shot of Hela destroying the hammer in Ragnarok, the cracks of Mjolnir are now spread apart with bigger chunks. But notice how the golden end is facing upward now. I think we're looking at the other side of it. I just like this
That
look
would
better
make
than a
sense.
more capillary splintered look, because now from a distance you can still make out the individual cracks of that hammer. This reveal of Natalie Portman as Lady Thor works really well. Better than I thought it would, and honestly Marvel Studios really needed this to work, and they totally pulled it off, but they used a few interesting visual tricks to do it. Now yes, Jane is definitely beefed up here. I'm sure Natalie Portman put on quite a bit of muscle, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did that classic Tom Holland muscle enhancement there. But she does need to be beefed up, yet the focus of the shot is not on her muscle definition. Her shoulders, her traps, her neck, forearms, they're all covered. They also cover her face with the helmet, all to avoid that uncanny valley effect where we might see Natalie Portman's iconic face, but on a different body, which would just kind of freak us out. Instead, the focus is on Mjolnir, a striking, unusual image to see it put together again, and that is what guides us into the shot. And then we move directly from Mjolnir to Jane's eyes, which are locked directly on us. See, there is a narrative to this reveal, as opposed to just barfing in a visual effect in a trailer and we get to pull it apart. There's a story here.
What it's interesting to me about that shot, I feel like I keep wondering if it's just going to be a trailer shot or if they're splicing together from a different scene, because in that moment, it looks like she's getting ready to fight Thor. Like, why would she be posing that way upon seeing Thor for the first time?
Yeah. Why would she need to do like a I'm gonna hold until you acknowledge me kind of pose or something like that? It almost, like, as much as they don't like to show stuff beyond the first act, it feels as an image more like it's about to go down and I'm here now kind of thing or something. Yeah.
Now, behind both Jane and Thor, it looks like the town of New Asgard is being attacked by these weird-looking, dark, tentacled creatures. And then to the left, behind Jane, whatever this is flashing some sharp teeth. Gorr's weapon.
So she's posing for that.
Symbiotes in Marvel lore. It was a weapon created by the symbiote deity of Null. And we did see in Spider-Man No Way Home that a piece of Venom is left in the boundary of the MCU. So could we be looking at some kind of Venom creature attacking New Asgard? I don't know. I don't think Venom can appear in an MCU movie without it being a Sony co-production the way Spider-Man No Way Home was. So I don't know if they'll keep that symbiote backstory. But if you think about it, the way that Dane Whitman's sword, the Ebony Blade, also had a black shape-shifting essence to it when he reached out to it. That could be the same way Gorr's blade works, making it a kind of poison, not a venom, a poison that rots a target from the inside out. That could be how we got that chained up skeleton. It could be a poison that thematically parallels the way cancer attacks the body, which would make Jane's conflict with Gorr super important and super symbolic for her in this movie. Support us by checking out our merch options like our Moon Knight inspired Tomb of the Moon God shirt and NewRockstarsMerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Good breakdown.
That was an A+ breakdown.
Only Erik Voss can make 20 minutes out of 90
seconds. Yeah, and make it not feel like filler at all.
Yeah. I'm sure he had to even cut out more than that. That was great. Guys, subscribe to New Rockstars if you haven't done so already. I know more about this movie than I ever expected to. Thank you, Erik Voss. Thank you, all of New Rockstars team. Before we go, let's do a Patron. Anissa, I talked to you the other day, and it looks like you're pretty serious about taking a trip to Southern California.
Yeah.
And you were telling me some locations that you were thinking of staying at. And I gotta tell you, man, I'm excited for when you come. Because John will greet you. Take over, John.
I am gonna greet you at the airport, and I'm not gonna let you do anything. You're hanging with me, and me only, and I'm not letting you out of my sight, all right? We're gonna eat together. We're gonna drive places together, and sit in traffic, and make awkward conversation together. And then we're gonna go to every theme park in the Southern California area. In one day, you're gonna get really tired of hanging out with me, but you're not allowed to stop, because we got time to make up for Anissa. Plus, gas station tour of the greater Los Angeles area. Am I right? You're gonna love it. It's gonna be the best birthday. You're gonna wish that there were no more birthdays to come.
You're gonna have time for the channel, though, right?
Yeah, it's debatable.